Okay, so this is the second time that I'm going to record this piece of shit because I fucked up the one this morning. I don't understand microphones. It was unlistenable. The microphone was way too close to my face and I had way too much distortion and feedback, and I don't know. I'm still learning all of this shit. I don't understand equalizer levels and like compression and audio. Like filming is easy, but getting good audio is new to me, so I'm still trying to figure it out. But this is a story that I wanted to talk about since last week. When I came across this article. I like this topic because it ruffles people's feathers, and I love topics that get under people's skin. So this is a topic about sexuality and primarily LGBTQ. I'm going to stick with those letters. I know there are more, but it gets to be ridiculous. But right now, Gallup did a new poll stating that 5.6% of U.S. adults, approximately 18 million U.S. adults, identify as LGBTQ in that category. And that's significant, according to Gallup, because it is up 1 percentage point from the last time they conducted this poll back in 2017, when it was 4.5. And so on and so forth. They've been doing this poll since 2012, and it's been increasing steadily ever since they've been keeping data on it. And the reason for that, the whole article posits, of course, is the internet and social media and these movements of social justice. Now, the phrase social justice has in fact been perverted by a lot of organizations and a lot of people who have bad intentions. But the idea, the concept behind social justice is a positive one. All right, let's take a look at some of the figures here. Of course, Generation Z, the newest generation that was raised in the internet with social media, those between the ages of 18 and 23, 1 in 6, almost 16%, are willing to identify as LGBTQ in one of those categories, which is a pretty significant number. Breaking it down even farther, amongst the people in that category, the poll is interesting because it's different this year because they ask people to precisely identify which category they do line up with. And that's interesting because previous polls was just yes or no. Do you identify an LGBTQ? Yes or no. But now they have more precise data. And to nobody's surprise, well over half of the respondents identified as bisexual, men and women who were just curious about their sexuality. A quarter identified as gay, and almost 12% as lesbian and 11% as transgender. I'm pretty sure gay covers like gay and lesbian, but I mean, some people just adopt different terms, so I'm pretty sure there's a lot of overlap there. So even further, breaking it down even further, women are more likely than men to identify as LGBTQ. No surprise there. Women are more likely to identify as bisexual than men. Again, no surprise, and frankly, rawr. But anyways, so the article goes on to posit a lot of the reasons why, and frankly, I think it's no big mystery why. People who have been bigoted or against people who are gay or bisexual or transgender for a lot of years are being forced by social media and just the evolution of our culture. Being forced to accept other people's lifestyles and choices about how they lead their lives. And I imagine that even though 18 million, which is a significant portion of the population, I imagine that number's still low. And the reason I say that is because we are not past the point where there are people who do not discriminate against people who lead lives like this. And there are still pockets all over America, not just South, it's all over, in every corner, of people who are still in this mindset that it is unnatural, goes against God, or they They just don't like it for one reason or another. And there are still people who are in the closet because they're afraid to come out. They're afraid to be ostracized. They're afraid of any consequences or fallout. Or they're certainly afraid of, bullying, intimidation, or even physical violence. I mean, it's better now than it was, say, 20 years ago. Certainly better than it was 40 years ago. But this article kind of hits the nail on the head, kind of what I was getting at. The younger generations haven't experienced the level of fear where often being in the closet felt less like a choice and more like a survival mechanism, meaning people just kept their mouths shut and just rolled with the status quo because actually being who you are could come with serious consequences. Now, me personally, I've always been a let your freak flag fly kind of guy. I've never hid that. I'm pretty vocal about it, but it's easy for me to say, as a straight male, it's easy for me to say that. It's easy for me to just say, you, be loud and proud, be happy, don't let anybody else tell you what you can and can't do. But again, I've never experienced it. I don't lead my life as a gay man or a trans person or queer or whatever. I imagine that's actually a difficult hurdle to actually have to A, accept for yourself, and then B, get others around you to accept. Now, it's a lot easier now than it was, but I have never understood this hang-up that people have about other people's sexuality, whether it's your particular religion that is against it, or just your community and culture that you're raised in that's just like anti-gay and bigoted towards people who have different sexual preferences than you. It's like, what the fuck do you care? What the fuck do you or anybody else around you care what someone does with their dick, with their pussy, what they lick, what they stick? Why do you give a shit? And I always ask that question, but of course I know the question, or I know the answer to that. And it's been studied, believe it or not, but the more virulently anti-gay you are, the more loud and vocal and hostile you are towards people who are LGBTQ, the more likely, rule of thumb, the more likely you are to be a little gay. It's true. They have in fact studied these things, and it never ceases to amaze me. The loudest voices, the most frothing, angriest, most hostile people towards these communities, are always in the back of their head worried that they might be gay. It's an insecurity thing. You see it time and time again. Some fire and brimstone pastor gets caught with a male hooker, snorting cocaine off his boner or some shit. I've seen these stories that it totally exists. And it's ironic that the people who are totally okay with it, I'm all about expressing your sexuality and doing you and getting as freaky and kinky as you want. I'm totally secure. I am totally secure in my own personal sexuality. I have absolutely no problem with gay people, with queer people, transgender people, because we only have one life to lead, You better do what you can to find your happiness, because if you're going to spend the whole entirety of your life living a lie, that's no way to live. So when I was making this video, I was thinking of a line from the first season of Game of Thrones. And it sounds so ridiculous, but it's 100% true. And it resonated with me when I first heard it, Tyrion Lannister, first episode. He said, never forget who you are. The world won't. Wear it like armor, and no one can hurt you with it. It's true. Be who you are. Be loud and proud. Wear it on your chest, flaws and all. Becomes a shield. So this is interesting, that we have to actually make slow incremental process, even though I don't understand it. I feel like we should just be okay with anybody's choice for whomever they want to fuck. But what do I know?
Dirty. Filthy. Mucky.